You talked a bit about this word dispositions. Could you unpack that word a little bit for maybe educators who aren't so familiar with what it means to cultivate thinking dispositions instead of simply thinking skills?
Thinking is a lot more than just a list of dry thinking skills. It's sort of a way of being, a way of approaching the world, a way of being thoughtful, of noticing, of observing, of reasoning carefully, and so on. And skills are often taught as if they're sort of these discrete bits of knowledge that you put on a shelf someplace and you take them out when you're told to take them out, and then you put them back when you don't need them anymore. They don't get sort of queued up at times when it's important. And actually there's some background research that we've done at Project Zero. We've looked at when students use thinking skills that they've been taught in this very sort of rote way. And we've discovered that students will often have thinking skills, but not be inclined to use them at moments when it counts, in part because they may not feel motivated, but in part because they don't really notice that this is a moment where I should look more closely or reason carefully. And so the idea of dispositions is the idea of teaching in a way that helps students not only develop skills, but also develop some motivation to use those skills, and very importantly, develop a sensitivity to opportunity, noticing when it's appropriate to use the skills that you have. Many of us were also interested in art, and when an opportunity came along to try to take what we'd learned in visible thinking and apply it to the world of thinking about art and looking at art, we tried to look at that intersect and ask ourselves which dispositions were important in the disciplines and also were really important in looking at art. And so that's how we came up with what we call the Artful Thinking Palette. This connects to the idea of routines. We can't always depend on our sort of voices in our head to tell us when to use the skills that we have, and so we develop habits. That's sort of an efficient way to cue up behavior in the world. The idea of routines connects to dispositions, and it's meant to cue up sort of habitual behaviors.
That makes a lot of sense.
Two pieces of advice. One, make them routine. You are encouraging teachers to make these routine by using them over and over again, and that's how dispositions develop. Dispositions are habits of mind, and habits of mind develop through routine behaviors. So one is to use them routinely across contexts. I think that's really important, so that young people can see how noticing carefully is important when you're looking at works of art. It's also important when you're looking at a poem. It's also important when you're examining nature in a science class, and in so many other contexts. And another really important piece of advice I think we found over the years is don't be afraid to use them. Just jump right in. Routines were designed, when we designed them, we very much had in mind we wanted them to work out of the box. We wanted them to teach themselves as they unfolded. So sometimes teachers very understandably want to make sure that they really master something before they share it with their students. But routines are designed to sort of be learn as you go. And one way to help with that is to document what students say. So just capture everything that students are saying in a visible format, and so that a teacher and a student can see ideas growing as the routine is unfolding. So I guess those are the two pieces of advice. Don't be afraid to just jump in and let it be kind of messy, because it's often messy, because thinking is often messy, but rich and messy. So let it be messy and rich, and do it regularly. When we first began working with the teachers, they were very concerned with which work of art to choose, and they very much wanted to choose the best works of art so that they could look at those with their students. They were concerned that they may not have the expert knowledge that they needed to make these choices. But as the project went on, they started to worry a lot less about what was a good work of art and a lot more about what was a good conversation. And that was a really exciting shift for us, because the routines are designed to support really good, deep conversation. And I think the teachers understood that, and that worked out well.
That's fascinating. You don't have to have an art history degree in order to
Exactly,
do it.
because as an educator, you know what a good question is, you know what a good observation is, you can hear students reason and build interpretation, so that when the emphasis is on those things, you're able to support the students really well. So teachers can bring to bear on these routine settings the skills that they already have and the knowledge they already have about how to support students.
It's very empowering for teachers,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
exactly.
Yes.